Remember when Americans could travel anywhere? Former President Jair Bolsonaro. The 2019 decision had allowed passport holders from the US, Canada, Japan, and Australia to enter Brazil without a visa for up to 90 days. It led to a sharp rise in tourism, including 483,000 American visitors in 2023 alone, contributing an estimated 910 million USD to Brazil's economy, according to Embraer, Brazil's tourism agency. But things changed in 2025. After multiple delays and mounting domestic pressure, the new policy mandates an electronic visa e-visa for all American tourists, requiring an 81 USD fee, scanned documents, a financial solvency check showing at least $2,000 in bank funds, or a Brazilian sponsor. Background checks are now conducted against international watch lists, and visa approvals can take 5 to 10 business days. For cruise travelers entering through Rio or Salvador, the visa requirement still applies, no exceptions. Brazil's decision was largely driven by reciprocity. U.S. travelers must pay $185 for a Brazilian visa if applying within the United States, attend an in-person interview, and provide biometric data. Brazil's leaders called the previous visa-free arrangement unbalanced, as Brazilians still faced lengthy, expensive procedures to visit the U.S. Reinstating visas was framed as a matter of national dignity and equality. Historically, U.S.-Brazil travel amid growing surveillance concerns. If you're flying to São Paulo or hiking in Bahia, you'll need are no longer allowed to just stroll into Sydney or Melbourne without advance permission. As of January 2025, every American visitor must now apply for an Electronic Travel Authority, ETA, a system that, while digital and fast, marks a clear departure from true visa-free access. The ETA isn't exactly new. It's existed since the late 1990s, but up until this year, U.S. citizens were largely treated under an informal visa waiver agreement. You booked your flight, showed your passport, and breezed through. Now, the rules have been tightened. You must apply online or through a mobile app, submit personal and travel data, and pay a small processing fee, around $20 US. The ETA typically gets approved in minutes, but not always. And if there's a flag on your record, like an old arrest, visa overstay, or mismatched travel details, you can be denied at the gate with no entry and no refund. Why the change? According to Australia's Home Affairs Department, the US has not been reciprocating Australia's openness. Australians face far more cumbersome processes and costs to visit America, often paying $185 for a B2 visitor visa, sometimes waiting weeks for consulate interviews. Citing national fairness and concerns over digital border security, Australian lawmakers agreed to formalize the entry process for countries not offering equivalent access. This move also comes as Australia reviews broader immigration and security frameworks. In early 2024, Australia announced its Digital Borders Initiative, which aims to fully automate travel travel screening by 2026, using facial recognition and predictive analytics. As part of that upgrade, visa-free entries were deemed outdated, especially when tied to diplomatic imbalances. So yes, Americans can still visit Australia relatively easily, but it's no longer a handshake agreement. You'll need an approved ETA, and there's now zero tolerance for errors or missing data. Over 1.2 million Americans visited Australia in 2019, the last full pre-pandemic year. With these new requirements, tourism officials expect a possible 8 to 10% drop in 2025, especially among last-minute and budget travelers. India. Until recently, traveling to India as a U.S. citizen felt almost seamless. American travelers once enjoyed change wasn't abrupt. India had suspended its tourist visa program during the pandemic and reintroduced it cautiously. But until now, American citizens were allowed fast-track e-visa access without the traditional red tape. In 2024, over 1.5 million U.S. tourists visited India, contributing billions to its economy. However, border security reviews and diplomatic reciprocity concerns sparked a shift. Officials pointed to the stringent and often expensive U.S. visa process for Indian nationals, up to $185 for a tourist visa, and wait times of over 250 days at U.S. consulates in Mumbai and Delhi. This imbalance triggered backlash in India. Members of parliament argued that it was fundamentally unequal to offer Americans such easy entry when Indian citizens faced one of the toughest visa paths to the U.S. In response, India's Ministry of External Affairs announced in February 2025 that U.S. citizens must now apply for a regular tourist visa, even for short stays. The impact is immediate. Visa processing takes 5 to 10 business days, but delays stretch longer during peak travel seasons. Applicants must upload detailed itineraries, photos, scanned passports, and sometimes proof of lodging and income. Stays exceeding 180 days per calendar year now trigger Foreigners Regional Registration Office (FRRO) enrollment, a bureaucratic maze many Americans aren't prepared for. These new restrictions hit digital nomads and retirees especially hard. Many U.S. citizens had used India as a base for long, affordable living stretches. Now, with heightened scrutiny and more paperwork, that lifestyle has become riskier. Travel agencies report a 17% drop in American bookings to India for summer 2025, despite promotions. For many, it's not just about paperwork. It's a signal that global mobility is shifting. India, once eager to welcome American tourists with open arms, is now demanding equal footing on the international stage. Why it matters on paper? The loss of visa-free access to Brazil, Australia, and India might seem like a minor inconvenience. A few extra forms, a modest fee, a bit of waiting. But the truth is deeper. These policy reversals signal a broader shift in how the world views the U.S. and its once mighty passport. The U.S. passport, long seen as a golden key to the world, has quietly dropped in power. In 2010, it offered visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to 172 countries. By 2015, that number climbed to 174, and by 2018, it peaked at 186 destinations. But in 2025, according to the Henley Passport Index, the U.S. now stands at 182, a 4-country drop in just a year. Meanwhile, Japan, Singapore, and now Germany offer greater travel access globally, overtaking America for the top spot. What changed? It's not just post-COVID bureaucracy or tech delays, it's reciprocity and the lack of it. Brazil, for instance, stated bluntly that it reinstated visa rules for Americans because Brazilian citizens face complex, expensive, and often frustrating U.S. visa processes. Indian diplomats have voiced similar complaints, with student and visitor visa wait times in New Delhi stretching past 300 days in 2024. Australia, too, quietly shifted its entry process for Americans, citing changes in its immigration strategy to reflect global mutual obligations. These moves reflect a growing sentiment. If Americans won't offer easy entry, why should we? And that has real consequences. Fewer visa-free destinations means more paperwork, more delays, more denied entries at border checkpoints. It also affects the U.S. soft power image. A passport is a symbol, after all. A decline in global mobility reflects a perceived decline in global influence. Tourism operators are already adapting. Airlines are warning travelers to double-check visa requirements before booking international flights, while digital nomads are shifting plans away from traditionally easy entry countries. A 2025 Skyscanner survey showed that nearly 21% of U.S. travelers were surprised by a visa requirement they didn't expect in the past year. This isn't just a bureaucratic snag, it's a wake-up call. The age of automatic American access is fading. What to do now? New rules for a new era. In this new global travel landscape, American travelers must abandon the old assumption that a U.S. passport gets you anywhere. That mindset may have worked in 2015, when Americans could travel to nearly 185 countries without a visa or with one easily obtained upon arrival. But 2025 has rewritten the rulebook, and the consequences are real. Let's begin with the basics. Before you even book that flight to Brazil, Australia, or India, visit the U.S. State Department's country-specific travel page or the destination country's immigration website. As of July 2025, Brazil requires U.S. travelers to obtain an e-visa, submit proof of financial means, at least $2,000 in bank statements or a Brazilian sponsor, and wait up to 5 business days for processing. More than 483,000 Americans visited Brazil in 2023 with no visa, many of them unaware that the rules have now changed. India's e-tourist visa system, once hailed for its simplicity, now mandates pre-approval before boarding a plane. No more visa on arrival for Americans. Miss that deadline and you may miss your entire trip. For Australians, the ETA sounds simple but can be denied without warning. Since Australia reinstated gate-level checks in March 2025, multiple U.S. travelers have reported being denied boarding at LAX and JFK due to outdated passport data, even after paying the fee. Visa fees are no longer symbolic either. Americans now pay between $25 and $185 per entry in many places. And that's before you factor in costs for biometric verification, document scans, and courier return of your passport. If you're applying for visas for an entire family, you could spend over $5 are reviewing visa reciprocity rules amid global negotiations. Your move, plan earlier, budget for bureaucracy, and never assume. The rules have changed, and U.S. travelers who don't adapt may be grounded before with us.